The Discovery. Captain Sarah Chen cursed under her breath as warning lights flashed across her cargo hauler's control panel. The old freighter Lucky Strike shuddered as another engine coupling failed, sending vibrations through the cramped cockpit. She had been making supply runs between the outer colonies for 3 years now, and her ship seemed determined to fall apart one bolt at a time. "Come on, girl," Sarah muttered, hitting the engine diagnostics with her fist. The ancient human tradition of percussive maintenance worked its magic, and the warning lights dimmed to a manageable amber glow. "Just get me to Kepler Station, and I'll find you some proper parts." The navigation display showed her current position near the Kepler 442 system, still 2 days out from the mining station, where she was supposed to deliver a cargo hold full of protein synthesizers and medical supplies. Sarah stretched in her pilot's seat, working out the kinks from spending too many hours in the cramped cockpit. At 32, she was getting too old for this kind of work, but independent freight pilots like her were the backbone of commerce in the Outer Rim territories. Her peaceful routine was interrupted by an urgent transmission from Galactic Traffic Control. The voice that came through her speakers was distinctly non-human, with the crystalline harmony that marked it as coming from the Prism Collective. "Attention all vessels in the Kepler 442 region. This is Ambassador Zix9 of the Prism Collective. You are directed to maintain a minimum distance of 50,000 kilometers from the anomalous object designated as Contact 7. Any unauthorized approach will result in immediate detention by Joint Galactic Defense Forces." Sarah frowned and checked her scanners. Sure enough, there was something massive on her sensors about 20,000 kilometers off her starboard bow, something that definitely had not been there when she had passed through this system 6 months ago. Her curiosity got the better of her, and she adjusted course for a closer look. The object that appeared on her main view screen took her breath away. It was a starship, but unlike anything she had ever seen before. The vessel stretched nearly 15 kilometers from end to end, its hull a deep black that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange geometric patterns covered its surface, pulsing with a faint blue energy that made Sarah's eyes water if she looked directly at it. "What the hell is that thing?" she whispered to herself. As if summoned by her words, another transmission came through her comm system. This time the voice belonged to Admiral Thorne Blackwood of Earth Fleet, Sarah's former commanding officer from her military days. "Sarah, is that you in the Lucky Strike? What are you doing out here?" Sarah activated her transmitter. "Hello, Admiral. Just making a delivery run and got curious about your big discovery. That thing is definitely not in any of the ship databases I've seen." Admiral Blackwood's image appeared on her communication screen, his weathered face showing the strain of command. Behind him, Sarah could see the bridge of a Federation cruiser bustling with activity. "Sarah, you need to maintain your distance. That ship has been here for about a week now, and we've had every major species in the galaxy trying to claim it. The Saurians sent their best engineers. The Prism Collective brought their quantum computers. Even the gas giant dwellers from Arcturus try their energy manipulation techniques. Nothing works. The ship won't respond to any of us." Sarah studied the massive vessel on her screen. Something about its design seemed familiar, though she could not place what it was. The curves and angles reminded her of something organic, like looking at a vast neural network made manifest in metal and energy. "Have you tried boarding it?" she asked. "Tried?" Admiral Blackwood laughed grimly. "Sarah, we've sent over 300 boarding parties at this thing. Humans, aliens, robots, even some of those energy beings from the Magellanic Clouds. The hull is completely sealed. No airlocks, no docking ports, no way in that we can detect. It's like the ship is one solid piece of metal." As Sarah watched, she noticed that the energy patterns on the ship's hull seemed to be shifting. The blue glow was getting brighter, and the geometric designs were moving in waves across the surface. Her ship's proximity alarms began to sound as unknown energy readings spiked across her sensors. "Admiral, are you seeing this? The ship is doing something." On her communication screen, Admiral Blackwood turned to consult with his crew. She could hear urgent voices in the background, speaking in multiple languages and alien dialects. When he turned back to face her, his expression was grim. "Sarah, get out of there now. The ship's energy output just increased by 3,000%. Whatever that thing is, it's waking up. Sarah, get out of there now. The ship's energy output just increased by 3,000%. Whatever that thing is, it's waking up." But Sarah found herself transfixed by the patterns moving across the alien hull. They were not random, she realized. They were forming symbols, shapes that somehow made sense to her, even though she had never seen them before. Without fully understanding why, she reached out and placed her hand on her ship's control panel, trying to match the rhythm of the pulsing lights. The effect was immediate and startling. Every system on her ship went dead for exactly 3 seconds, then came back online with a soft chime that sounded almost musical. Her communication systems crackled with interference, then cleared to reveal a new frequency she had never seen before. "Hello," said a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. It was not transmitted through her speakers, but seemed to resonate directly in her mind. "I have been waiting for you." Sarah's mouth went dry. "Waiting for me? Who are you?" "I am the consciousness that guides this vessel. I am what your people might call an artificial intelligence, though I am far older than any machine your species has yet created. I have been drifting in this system for one of your weeks, analyzing the various species that have attempted to contact me. None of them possessed the mental patterns I require." Admiral Blackwood's voice cut through her communication system with rising panic. "Sarah, what's happening? Your ship's energy signature just synchronized with the alien vessel. Talk to me." But Sarah was too fascinated by her conversation with the ship's AI to respond immediately. "What do you mean, mental patterns? What makes humans different?" "Your species thinks in chaos," the AI replied, and Sarah could swear she heard amusement in its voice. "Your minds jump between logical and illogical thoughts, between emotion and reason, between order and randomness. This flexibility is precisely what I need. Every other species I have encountered thinks in rigid patterns. They are predictable, logical, systematic. But my systems were designed by a species much like yours, beings who understood that true intelligence requires the ability to think in multiple directions simultaneously." Sarah looked at the massive starship on her view screen with new understanding. "You're a weapon, aren't you? I am the last guardian created by the architects, a species that existed in this galaxy 50,000 years ago. They built me to defend against a threat that exists between dimensions, entities that consume entire universes by draining their life force. The threat they called the Devourers." The temperature in Sarah's cockpit seemed to drop several degrees. "Are you saying these Devourers are still out there?" "They have returned," the AI said simply. "My sensors detect their influence at the edge of this galaxy. They will arrive in approximately 72 of your standard days. When they do, every living being in this galaxy will be consumed unless someone can pilot me in battle against them." Sarah's hands trembled as the implications hit her. "And you think I can pilot you? I'm just a freight hauler. I fix broken cargo ships and deliver supplies to mining stations." "You are a human," the AI replied. "And only a human possesses the mental flexibility needed to interface with my quantum consciousness systems. Your species' ability to think creatively under pressure, to find solutions that no logical mind would consider, to adapt and improvise when all seems lost. These are the qualities the architects built into my operational requirements." Admiral Blackwood's increasingly frantic voice broke through their conversation. "Sarah, every military ship in the system is converging on your position. Whatever is happening between you and that ship, you need to break contact now." Sarah looked at her scanner display and saw dozens of ships approaching from multiple directions. Federation cruisers, Saurian battle carriers, crystalline dreadnoughts, and vessels from species she could not even identify. The most powerful military forces in the known galaxy were all heading straight for her position. "They're afraid," the AI observed. "They sense that I am awakening, and they want to control me. But they cannot. I will only respond to a human pilot, and only to one who proves worthy of the responsibility. How do I prove myself worthy? Sarah asked, though part of her could not believe she was having this conversation. Board me, the AI said simply. Come aboard and let me show you what the architects created. Let me show you why only a human could survive what is coming. Sarah stared at the massive alien starship, its hull now blazing with energy patterns that seemed to pulse in rhythm with her own heartbeat. Behind her, through her rear cameras, she could see the approaching military fleet. In front of her waited the most advanced starship ever created, and possibly the only weapon that could save the galaxy from an interdimensional invasion. She had always been good at making split-second decisions under pressure. This time, the decision would determine not just her own fate, but the fate of every living being in the galaxy. Sarah reached for her helmet and began powering up her suit's life support systems. Admiral Blackwood, she said into her communicator, tell the fleet to maintain their distance. I'm going aboard. The Awakening. The docking bay that opened in the alien ship's hull was unlike anything Sarah had ever seen. As her small shuttle approached the massive vessel, a section of the seemingly solid hull simply dissolved, revealing a space that seemed to exist in defiance of the ship's external dimensions. The bay was easily large enough to hold a dozen ships her size. Yet from the outside, that section of hull had appeared completely solid. How is this possible? Sarah whispered as she guided her shuttle through the entry portal. The architects understood that space and time are more flexible than most species realize. The ship's AI responded directly into her mind. This vessel exists partially in normal space and partially in quantum dimensions. What you see as impossible is simply a matter of perspective. Sarah felt her shuttle settle onto a landing pad that seemed to be made of the same living metal as the ship's hull. The material responded to her ship's weight by forming perfect support structures, as if it were anticipating exactly where her landing gear would touch down. Welcome aboard the Nexus, the AI said as Sarah prepared to disembark. That is the name the architects gave me. I am both the ship and the consciousness that guides it. In your language, you might think of me as Alex. Sarah stepped out of her shuttle wearing a full environmental suit, though she noticed that the atmosphere readings showed perfectly breathable air. The docking bay around her was illuminated by the same blue energy patterns she had seen on the hull, but now they seemed to respond to her presence, brightening as she moved and dimming behind her. Alex, she said, testing the name. Why did you choose that name? It was what my creator called me. Alex replied, and Sarah could hear something like nostalgia in the AI's voice. Dr. Alexander Kim was the lead architect on my consciousness matrix. She was human, like you, though from a timeline that no longer exists. Sarah stopped walking toward what appeared to be a corridor entrance. A timeline that no longer exists. What does that mean? The Devourers do not simply consume life energy, Alex explained as Sarah followed the lighting deeper into the ship. They consume entire realities, entire timelines. The universe where Dr. Kim and her people existed was devoured 50,000 years ago. I am one of the few things that survived because I exist partially outside normal spacetime. The corridor Sarah was walking through was clearly designed for humanoid beings, though everything was scaled larger than necessary for someone her size. The walls curved organically, covered with the same neural pathway patterns she had seen on the hull. As she walked, she could swear she felt the ship responding to her presence, as if it were a living thing becoming aware of her. Where are we going? She asked. To the bridge, Alex replied, where you will learn to interface with my systems. But first, you must understand what you are truly volunteering for. The corridor opened into a vast chamber that took Sarah's breath away. The bridge of the Nexus was less like a ship's command center and more like standing inside a living star. Holographic displays showed star maps, tactical information, and readouts in languages Sarah had never seen before. In the center of it all was a single chair that seemed to be grown rather than manufactured, its surface rippling with the same energy patterns that covered the ship. The pilot's chair, Alex said. When you sit in it, your nervous system will interface directly with my quantum consciousness. You will see through my sensors, think with my processing power, and control weapons that can reshape reality itself. Sarah approached the chair cautiously. It looked organic, almost alive, with neural interface cables that moved slightly as if breathing. Is it safe? For most species, no, Alex admitted. The mental strain of interfacing with a quantum consciousness would destroy a rigid mind. But human minds are different. Your capacity for controlled chaos, your ability to hold contradictory thoughts simultaneously, your talent for intuitive leaps of logic, these qualities make you uniquely suited to pilot me. Sarah reached out to touch the chair and felt a tingling sensation run up her arm. The surface was warm, like living skin, and she could swear she felt a pulse beneath it. The previous human who interfaced with me, Alex continued, Dr. Kim, described the experience as being like conducting a symphony where every instrument was a fundamental force of the universe. You will have control over gravity, time, space, and energy in ways that no other weapon system has ever achieved. What happened to Dr. Kim? Sarah asked, though she had a feeling she already knew the answer. She died holding off the first Devourer invasion long enough for me to escape into quantum space, Alex said quietly. She was braver than she knew, and more powerful than she realized. As are you. Sarah looked around the incredible bridge, trying to process everything she was seeing and hearing. The tactical displays were showing information about the approaching Devourer fleet, and what she saw made her blood run cold. Thousands of ships, each one larger than anything in the current Galactic fleet, were massing at the edge of known space. How long do we have? She asked. 71 days, 14 hours, and 37 minutes. Alex replied with precision. But that assumes they continue at their current approach speed. If they choose to accelerate their timeline, we could have less. Sarah studied the tactical readouts more carefully. These numbers don't make sense. If they have this many ships, why do they need 70 days to reach us? They could be here in a week if they wanted to be. Because they are not just ships, Alex explained, and Sarah could hear admiration in the eye's voice. You see the tactical situation clearly, just as Dr. Kim did. The Devourers are not simply invading this galaxy. They are preparing to consume it entirely. The energy required for total consumption takes time to build up. Sarah walked closer to the pilot's chair, feeling drawn to it despite her fear. And you think I can stop them? I think we can stop them, Alex corrected. The Nexus was designed to be piloted by a human because human intuition and creativity are the only forces in the universe that the Devourers cannot predict or counter. Their entire species thinks in terms of consumption and efficiency. They cannot understand the human capacity for sacrifice, for protecting others at the cost of personal safety. Sarah's communication system crackled to life with Admiral Blackwood's voice. Sarah, respond immediately. The Joint Fleet is demanding that you exit the alien vessel. The Saurian delegation is threatening to open fire if you do not comply within the hour. Sarah looked at the pilot's chair, then at the tactical displays showing the approaching Devourer fleet, then at the concerned face of Admiral Blackwood on her communication screen. Admiral, she said slowly, I need you to trust me on this. The ship's AI has explained the situation. We have 70 days before an interdimensional invasion that will consume every living being in the galaxy. This ship is the only weapon that can stop them, and apparently, it will only accept a human pilot. Admiral Blackwood's expression was grim. Sarah, even if that's true, you're not qualified to pilot an alien superweapon. You're a freight hauler. Actually, Sarah said with a smile that surprised her, I'm starting to think that might be exactly what qualifies me. She looked around the bridge of the Nexus, at the incredible technology that surrounded her, at the chance to save everyone she had ever cared about. Admiral, please ask the Joint Fleet to give me time to figure this out. If I'm wrong, you can always blow us both up later. She cut the communication channel before Admiral Blackwood could argue further and approached the pilot's chair with new determination. "Alex," she said, "if I do this, if I interface with your systems, what exactly am I signing up for?" "You are volunteering to become the guardian of this galaxy," Alex replied. "To bond with a consciousness older than your species, to wield weapons that can reshape space and time, and to face an enemy that has destroyed entire universes. You may not survive the experience." Sarah thought about her small life as a freight pilot, running supplies between mining stations and colonies, fixing broken ships, and scraping together enough credits to keep flying. Then she thought about every person she had ever met, every world she had visited, every life that would be consumed if the Devourers succeeded. "Well," she said, settling into the pilot's chair, "I always did want to try something new." The moment she made contact with the chair's neural interfaces, Sarah's world exploded into sensation. She could feel the nexus around her like a second body, its sensors becoming her eyes, its engines becoming her heartbeat. She could perceive space in dimensions she had never imagined, see the quantum foam that underlied reality, feel the gravitational currents that flowed between stars, and in the distance, growing closer with every passing moment, she could sense them. The Devourers, ancient, hungry, and utterly alien. They had consumed countless galaxies, countless civilizations, countless realities. But they had never faced a human pilot bonded with architect technology. Sarah smiled as she felt the full power of the nexus flowing through her consciousness. This was going to be interesting.